moments like this don't come around a lot, and they can define you as an individual.
Just to think that he's only 22 years old is scary for the rest of the world.
If he goes now at 24, turning 25, he's really got the opportunity to announce himself to the world as a credible world-class talent, which is what I believe he is and what he knows he is.
Hello and welcome back on Debatable on 11 Football. I am Fabrizio Romano, and as always, every single week we will be discussing the biggest football topics and transfers topics together with our guest. And today I'm joined by the football agent Michael Jarman and EA Sports Head of Athlete Partnerships Alex Wilde. How are you guys?
Yeah, very good. Thank you for having us on. Thank you for letting me speak first, Michael.
I'm in good health, Fab. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. And it will be super interesting, really, to hear from you on different sides of football, but at top level. So it's always nice to comment about it. And as always, we do on Debatable, we start with some tweets from the week, and I want to start to comment together with you on the first tweet that is about the meeting, the exclusive tweet on the meeting between the president of Barcelona, Joan Laporta, and the agent Mino Raiola. They met in Torino this week. The meeting was because of Laporta, it was in Italy, because of the golden boy of Pedri, and he had the opportunity to meet with Mino Raiola. We know that he has many important players in his list, like Erling Haaland, Paul Pogba, and many others, and they are looking to rebuild, to do something big in the future. They need to fix their financial situation. But I wanted to start asking you, Michael, how is the situation, in your opinion, with Barcelona in general?
Well, it's great PR, isn't it? From a standpoint, I think Raiola has one of the best talent pools in world football when it comes to representation of elite athletes. So they're definitely speaking to the right people. But there's conversations and then there's action. I think COVID has obviously affected the world globally from a business perspective, but more interestingly is how it has really impacted La Liga, and that how the wealth is spread between the teams and the debt that the clubs are happy to run with. And I think what it's done is it's exposed them. So from my perspective, look, you can have conversations with the top agents and with the best players, and they're still fantastic institutions, but at the end of the day, it's what does it actually cost financially? It's not looked great from a PR point of view in terms of players having to help the club out so much financially, having to reduce contracts. I saw there was talks about Memphis taking lower money just to get his contract through. It's difficult, man. It's difficult. But I can tell you one thing's for sure is no matter how much money these players, these athletes make, there is something that always has a gravitational pull towards a great institution such as Barcelona. It's a storm for them at the moment. They've got to ride it. Life is full of peaks and troughs. Real Madrid had a blip, a decade or so ago, maybe even a little bit longer, I remember. They'll have to ride it out. They'll have to regroup, and Barcelona will still be Barcelona in years to come.
And I agree with you on this point. And Alex, I wanted to ask you a comment also on my second tweet. So I'm going to read it, and it's about Frankie de Jong, because I said about no negotiations for Frankie de Jong to Manchester United in January as things stand, but his father spoke to Eddie in his country, and he said, Bayern or Man United, I know Barcelona need money and maybe a great offer could help, but I don't see that happening in January. And however, 5 best clubs in Europe have called for him. So Alex, I wanted to ask you about the feeling that you have on players' side on Barcelona and the top clubs in general about January transfer window, because I say that Frankie de Jong at the moment, from what I'm told, is not expected to leave Barcelona in January, but we're talking about the top player into top club leaving a difficult moment. So how is for players and in your role to handle in these kind of situations when things are not going so well for the team, but we're talking about top team and top player?
Firstly, any player playing at the top level is going to have conversations and other clubs interested in him. So you always take that as a compliment, and you always look at the good side of that. I think specifically Frankie is an unbelievable player. I personally, and this is just a personal opinion, I've never been a fan of January moves, especially like top players at the top of their game moving in January. I think, people have done smart business in January, bringing people in, helping teams, not get relegated or push for like Champions League places. But generally, like the kind of deals that Frankie should be getting, for me, they don't really take place in January. That's a summer headline transfer. And And as I said, on him specifically, he's playing great. And yeah, Barcelona are, I mean, where they are, but, you know, it's still Barcelona. It was a dream of his to play there. And he has opportunities moving forward.
I wanted to ask you on this point also, Michael, on players' feeling about January transfer window. Sometimes the expectation is maybe for the players not so prepared to move in. And we're talking about top players, as your players, as Frankie de Jong. They don't want to move in January. It has to be like a desperate situation, or they prefer to wait for the summer for this kind of big moves to top clubs from top clubs.
Alex hit the nail on the head. I think you've always got to look at, we're talking about human beings here. And, you know, some of them have got families, settled in schools, they're settled into the season. I think for players that aren't playing, players that need the move to get minutes, January is a fantastic window for them. It's a brilliant window, right? But, you know, every now and then you get a Bruno Fernandes or a Virgil van Dijk situation that erupts where there's, you know, it's almost like the move has to happen. It's too sweet for it not to happen. But in reality, you speak to most clubs, you speak to most agents, as Alex rightly said, it will always be the summer. You've had a chance to complete your season, reflect, see where you're at, see where your market value's at, and then ask yourself not only what you want from your next step as a club, but what direction you want your career to head into. And if you can get it drastically wrong in January, you've got to go in, learn a new culture immediately. The season's already started. You're trying to complete it, and some clubs have got expectations to finish in the Champions League or compete for a title. Some are fighting and scrapping for relegation and survival. It's tough. It's really tough. So for me, if you ask me what my preference is, of course, as an agent, you know, we want it nice and easy. You want the summer. You've got 3 months. You can relax. You've got the sun shining. It's a great time. Who wants to do a deal when it's snowing and it's miserable and you've got 30 days to rush a deal through? No one. So from this perspective, the preference is always, of course, the summer. But, you know, January provides a very good opportunity on a case-by-case basis. That's what I would always say.
Both of you, an opinion on the next tweet that is about a club that I think they will need to do something big in January, and this completely different situation, of course, and is Newcastle, because I tweeted a few days ago that Newcastle are seriously interested in signing Sven Botman in January. He's top of the list, but still waiting to know Lille position and potential price tag. AC Milan are also keeping tabs on this boy. Sevilla, Wolves, and Atalanta wanted him in the summer, but now it's Newcastle leading the race. I wanted to ask you about Newcastle project, starting from you, Michael.
Newcastle, the wealthiest club in the world, it's a project, and it's going to take years to come right. And fans need to, the press, agents, everyone's, you know, it's hype, isn't it? It's Newcastle, loads of money they're going to spend. It's not, you know, tranquillo, everything's going to be okay. Again, they're going through a bit of a patch. I think they've got a fantastic manager that knows the league well and knows the level well. And knows how to compete. He's proven, tried and tested at the Premier League. Okay, it didn't go right for him in his final season at Bournemouth. I think you're going to see a lot of world-class top athletes linked to Newcastle United. It doesn't mean that they're the right players for now, you know? They've got a job to do where they're not going to be competing for European place this season. Maybe even, dare I say, next season. It's all about survival for this season and then really solidifying themselves as a team that can sit in and around the top 6, but, you know, maybe finish 7th, 8th, 9th. It's growth bit by bit. And you've got to ask yourself this, you know, Eddie Howe, who I've watched closely for years in terms of his successes, his triumphs and his downfalls, he's not the type of manager to just, he's big on culture. He's great on taking talent that is probably top end championships, stroke bottom end Premier League, and making them solidified quality Premier League players. So to go and just sign a superstar and bring him in doesn't fit with the culture of that club at the moment. So I don't think it's a signing that, you know, Newcastle fans shouldn't be sitting there saying, oh, we're going to sign Cristiano Ronaldo tomorrow. It's not right for the club at this moment in terms of the culture and where they're at. Sure. But in time, it will all be fine. You'll be, as a Man United fan, it's tough to watch another team with, an investor that's ambitious, that wants to spend to see the success.
Sure.
It's tough, but they'll get it right in time. It'll all come to fruition.
Alex, you deal with many players every single day, talking about the players. You have a feeling about this Newcastle project, how they see this new, as Michael was saying, new top club coming with a lot of money, with big contracts offered to players. So how do you see this project on your side, on player side too?
You know, I think it's an interesting one because it gives players another option, you know, where, you know, there's only a certain level of clubs that can afford these big money deals and wages, and Newcastle are now in the position that they're in that pool. I don't think just spending aimlessly, well, we know that's not necessarily going to work. I mean, it definitely won't work, in my opinion. I do think they need to stay up. But I think there'll be some players, the likes of Delhi, for example, that might be looking at Newcastle and thinking, I can go there, do well, remind people what an unbelievable player I am. And they're able to get to the level that Delhi needs to be at when it comes to, expectation around wages, etc. It's an interesting option for players, especially some of these guys that are maybe not getting as much football as they would want at the top clubs at the moment. It's a great avenue that they could explore.
Talking about players out of contract in June 2022, the situation of Antonio Rudiger is one of the biggest we have in this moment. I tweeted a few hours ago about this one, saying that Antonio Rudiger is still in talks with Chelsea over new contracts since months, but the agreement is still far from being reached, and Real Madrid want to sign him as free agent. There are problems with Bayern because they don't want to pay the salary that Rudiger is asking, but it's a serious opportunity for Real Madrid to sign him as free agent in June 2022. So I start with you, Michael. How do you see this kind of situation? Top player, top centre-back, when a top club like Real Madrid are coming, as happened last year with David Alaba, with Bayern, and they signed him as free agent. How do you see in general this kind of situation? How is on an agent side to manage this kind of approach from top clubs?
Depends really what he wants to achieve. I feel like, look, La Liga is a fantastic league. Technically speaking, it's for me where, without question, the best systems are designed, the best football and the most entertaining football is played from an attractiveness point of view. It's like an art out there. But the one thing that I've noticed with England is you just cannot replicate the speed, the intensity, the ferociousness, the competitiveness of the league. And that is why it's still, for me, the best league in the world. He lives in London. He plays for a fantastic club under a fantastic manager, with a fantastic owner and a really good structure in terms of the direction they want to head into. They're the Champions League winners. If you're going to Madrid right now at this current moment in time, with all due respect to Madrid, brilliant institution. They're obviously clearly, I would expect them to walk the league this year. But in terms of challenging yourself against the best week in, week out, is that possible in La Liga? I'm not so sure. The weather's going to be great. It'll for sure beat London. But you've just got to ask yourself at that moment where you are at yourself in your career, what you want to achieve. For me, as an institution, preferably Real Madrid wins that conversation. But in terms of, as I said, just pitting yourself against the best week in, week out, I think naturally the conversation therefore has to be Chelsea and staying in the Premier League. As a player, to answer you specifically, what does it feel like for him? It's like a kid being in a candy shop. It's great, isn't it? Right? You've got Real Madrid, you've got Chelsea, and there's probably others. What more could you ask for? God has blessed your career, right? So you're in a good position. But he's just got to, again, it's that moment. If I was representing him, I'd be reflecting all about what you want. What's your personal goals? What do you want to achieve? And how do you want to be seen? Do you want to go down as a club legend at Chelsea? Do you want something new and fresh and dominate La Liga and then have, help Real Madrid go and claim their Champions League trophies? What do you want? Where do you want to take your family life, your friends? These are all the conversations that need to be had before you make it. It's not as simple as just, Chelsea want me, Real Madrid, I'm on a free, let me go. And he knows what he's doing as well. 6 months left in his contract. He's in a strong position, Fab. Strong position.
Yes, will be an interesting choice. Alex, how do you see the situation? I don't know if you know Rudiger directly, but in general, what happens for a player when Real Madrid are calling? Because we talk about the authority of Real Madrid. So when you say Real Madrid, it seems to be something different for top players, no?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a Chelsea fan, so I'm not. I got a lot of emotion behind this one. What I will say is, what an unbelievable player, what an unbelievable influence he's had over the team, the leadership, the passion. It will be a massive loss to Chelsea if he goes. I don't know him, but I love watching him, and I feel that definitely since Tuchel has come in and Chelsea have done what they've done, Tony's been influential. He's been one of the main leaders, and we've needed that leadership. Him and Thiago Silva in the back line, just unbelievable. But again, Real Madrid are Real Madrid. Like, what a footballing institution that is. Like, I don't think you could ever, similar to when Eden Hazard left, you couldn't really be mad because it's like you're going to Real Madrid, you're living out a dream. For me, they are the best team in history. Like, that's where I would want to sign, even though I'm a Chelsea season ticket holder and obsessed with Chelsea. So I wouldn't necessarily hold it against him, but I think it's a massive loss to Chelsea. And I really feel like he's the kind of player that they should do everything they can to try and keep him.
I see you mentioned Eden Hazard. So you dream of Eden Hazard coming back to Chelsea one day, I guess.
Of course. That's my guy. Like, honestly, like, yeah, if he comes back to Chelsea, I mean, unbelievable. And yeah, what a player. I'm sad for him. I wish things had gone differently for him at Madrid, you know? Yes. But he's still top player, and we'd love to have him back.
Let's see what happens. You know, transfer market is crazy. And I wanted to move to topic one. Our statement is about Barcelona. Today we focus on Barcelona. And the statement we have is Barcelona need to start the revolution already in January to be back at top level. Michael, how you see this Barca situation on transfer side? Because before we discussed about general situation of Barcelona, but now January transfer window is coming. They are in trouble on financial side. But they want to sign new players. This is what Laporta said. And they need to sell players. So we know about Coutinho. We know about Samuel Umtiti. They have many players expected to leave the club in January. But at the same point, they need to do new signings with not a big budget. They dream of Ferran Torres. So how you see the situation of Barcelona for January transfer window according to your feelings and informations?
A lot of player trading, mate. A lot of player trading. They've tied up money in assets that aren't performing to the extent that and this is funny because Fab, I feel like this has happened from them since the days they lost Neymar. I feel like when they got that injection of capital and flow of cash from PSG, maybe it would have been the right players, but culturally, was it the right fit? Did they fit into the system well? You've had unfortunate situations with injury problems, and then obviously we've seen very sadly the Aguero news that's I think it's been rumored. I don't know if it's confirmed yet that he's having to retire from the sport, and may God stay with him and his family. It's tough, man. It's player trading. It's going to be. You've got assets. You've invested into the asset, and you've got to trade yourself out of that position. And the toughest thing for them is that they're restricted by FFP and by La Liga's own version of FFP. So how do you? Again, the good thing is Barcelona is still always going to be an attractive proposition. I just think there'll be a big question mark about: do I want to go there now, or do I want that to stabilize first of all before I go there? So they can, we can put all the best names in the world and link everyone who's fantastically great next to them. I think they need to be really smart with their recruitment. It needs to look like, loans, free transfers. They need to really be stepping up. The Memphis Depay transfer, it made sense. I get it. I get why they did it. It's a fantastic player with great experience and a good CV. It's those type of deals that I think need to happen, but without losing the culture and the identity of the club, and ensuring that they've still got that production of that youth line, because that is what they were best at doing for so long. And I feel like they lost their ways with that once they were, trying to compete with the Real Madrid financially and go and sign the best of the best worldwide. They're not the Galacticos, they're Barcelona. It's what they were raised on, rearing the best youth around the world and having fantastic young players, outwork, outplay, create the best chances, the best moments in the game. That's what they need to get back to, their identity.
When you see the reports about, for example, in Spain, they're talking a lot about this, like players like Ferran Torres for January, but Man City asking for 60, 65 million. Do you think it's realistic to sign this kind of player for Barcelona, or it's going to be complicated? Because my feeling is, okay, I'm told the player wants to go to Barcelona, he's open, but the negotiation with Man City will be very, very difficult.
They've got to be creative. I don't know whether it's a loan with an obligation. I don't know how those payments are structured. I don't have access to Barcelona's bank account, so I'm not in any position to tell them how to spend their money. But you've just got to be creative. And I feel like that's why you've seen the Frankie de Jong conversations come about. I think they'll have to raise money before they can start spending like that. That was evident in the whole debacle with players having to, lower their transfer fee, lower their wages to be able to get their contracts ratified by the Spanish Federation. So being honest with you, as just as an agent with my agent hat on, I would be saying it's going to be very tough. If they're starting to spend 60, 70 million on players with what only happened a few months ago, I would be asking very quick, like, where did that come from? Without an injection of capital or something, which is not ever how the club's run, by the way. Sure. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
They have top young players, as Michael said, but also many important players with history at Barcelona, like Gerard Piqué, Sergio Busquets, and many others. On player side, how do you feel this Barca situation, and what do you expect to happen in January? Because they need something right now after being knocked out of Champions League groups. It's a very difficult situation for Barcelona. So what do you expect on this side?
There's a group of players there that probably, you have some very senior players, but you probably have some other players that are maybe low on confidence. This is their first time experiencing something bad. And if they can, go on a run in the Europa League, for example, or, even go win that, that's the sort of stuff that can really kickstart into next year. So whilst obviously it's undeniable they're in a tough spot, I still think there's opportunity. It's worth remembering, again, I'm going to talk about Chelsea, but Chelsea finished 10th in the league and won it the next season. So that's like, it's not for me like disaster levels yet. Yes, it's a blip. I think they have a great pool of players. They're just, something's not quite connecting between them. But, Pedri, we've seen him receive the Golden Boy. I mean, what an unbelievable player he is. I think there's some other exciting guys, Sergino Dest. But again, I see Sergino, sometimes they're playing him in a front three, sometimes they're playing him at right back. Like, it must be difficult for these guys who are young and still getting experience to kind of know where they're at. So I can't really comment on like who they might bring in or send out. I do think they need to find some cohesion and they need to find a way of getting the older players with the experience to bring the younger players and get that cohesion and try and make something happen. And I think Europa League's an opportunity for them. Because trust me, like Michael's Man United, I'm Chelsea. I've still enjoyed it when we've lifted Europa Leagues. That trophy's a trophy. And what that could do for the likes of, Pedri, Sergino Dest, Frenkie, just to lift something at the end of the season. That's what everyone's in the game for. So it's not disaster yet.
It's going to be interesting to see what will be the process in January, because it's never an easy window for every club, and imagine in the financial situation of Barcelona. And we move to topic 2 with another statement on the other side of Spanish top clubs, and it seems to be completely different situation because it's about Real Madrid. And the statement is Real Madrid have the best transfer strategy in football right now. I wanted to ask you, Michael, on this one, on an agent side, because this is my feeling. I think they're doing things in an incredible way. They sign talents as they did with Camavinga. They sign top free agents as they did with David Alaba. They're planning for Kylian Mbappé as next big signing, if they will be able to do it for June 2022. So they're planning for something really big. But in my opinion, with the perfect strategy, for example, also new contracts, because last summer, the extended contract of Courtois, of Casemiro, of Fede Valverde. So they are perfect in their strategy, and they seem to be perfect also with Carlo Ancelotti as manager. Wanted to ask you your feeling on this Real Madrid strategy.
Again, it just comes back to the fact that the pulling power of, number one, the institution. It's a fantastic place to live, fantastic facilities. They've redeveloped the stadium, which I think is huge in terms of, this is my home. This is where I go to play my football. This is where I play to the masses, and they come, they say my name, they sing songs, and it's all of that that adrenaline that kickstarts you first as a football player to be like, God, I'm a blessed individual. Look at what I do for a living. When you play for Real Madrid, there's something to it, right? There's a gravitational pull that you can't quite replicate with most clubs in European football, world football, should I say. So, no matter how much PSG throw at players, Man United, Chelsea, City, Madrid have always been able to keep that a la Madrid way about the club. It's in their DNA and they've not lost it. Something that I think even Man United have lost over the years, talking about the size of great clubs, right? So Real Madrid have always been really well at maintaining that. And then, of course, look, finally, the most important thing is they back it. They back their strategy. They know what they're doing. I think they know how to spend their money. They had a bit of the Super League was a bit of a gambit because he realised, Florentino realised we need money. The world is struggling. We're struggling. And to stay on top of the pile, we need this capital injection that's coming in by way of this league. But I think they're just very good at riding the storm, and they've always got people that seem to want to financially ensure that they're in the right place at the right time and heading in the right direction. And I think they've been great at doing that. So yeah, from a transfer perspective, again, with my business hat on, they're great at spending the right money at the right time, renegotiating with the right people at the right time, not holding on to someone for too long. Even with Benzema, I kind of thought, is it time for him to move on? Still seems committed, still at the club, still wants to lead the charge to make sure that they're consistently performing. So for me, and with respect to Eden, as we did say, I'm even as a non-Chelsea fan, and I know Alex's personal connections towards the guy because of his Chelsea friendship with him. It is sad to see him like that, but Real Madrid won't rest. They'll go, okay, cool, this one didn't work, straight on, Kylian, next. Eden, you're going to perform for us? If not, we might have to trade out of you. They're very good at just replenishing what they need to ensure that no matter what happens on that pitch for those 90 minutes, they are successful. They're probably one of the best in the business.
So I wanted to ask a quick one, Michael, on Kylian Mbappé, of course, not directly on the negotiation, because I'm saying that, of course, they want Kylian Mbappé for summer 2022 and they are on it. But I wanted to ask, how is possible to manage a situation on agent side when a player, like Mbappé in this case, but in general, he's attracted by the possibility of going to the club as free agent in the summer, and then you're playing Champions League game, Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid in this case. So for an agent, I'm not asking you about Mbappé directly, but how is to manage this kind of situation? Because I think it's not easy, no?
No, it's breathe. I think there's every now and then comes a talent that is as big as the institution, as exciting as the institution. You're right. Real Madrid have got that whole no one's bigger than the institution, but that sometimes there is just a player that just transcends the sport itself. And I think Kylian's got a very likable personality, a very likable demeanor about him. He's destined for the top. It's a passing of the torch. I love that picture between him and Ronaldo when they were sharing the pitch. It very much felt like a passing of the torch. So for him, he just got to ask himself. It's hard because as a Parisian, someone who's played for not as a Parisian, but playing in Paris and playing in his home country, now going up against the club that he may be going to. Take it in your stride. You'll be good. Enjoy it. Enjoy the moment. Moments like this don't come around a lot, and they can define you as an individual. Moments like this in your career can be the highlights of your career. It's like, wow, I did this for PSG as I was leaving. I represented my club, potentially, to the best of their ability, helped them lift the Champions League, dare I say. And I still went and joined Madrid, and then, went and helped them re-kick their campaign, let's say, if it plays out like that. So someone like Kylian, I just feel like he's got to take it all in his stride. Enjoy the moment. There's so much anxiety and pressure, and I feel like the best people that are equipped to deal with these situations, there's a reason why he's a top talent, because mentally he's attuned to it's just noise. Enjoy the moment and go out and show the world and demonstrate why I'm the best, if not one of the best talents out there.
Sure. And Alex, your opinion on this Real Madrid super moment and perfect strategy, and also on this Mbappé story, because as we said many times, you with players are very good. And so how is for a player to be in this kind of situation, and in general, Real Madrid feelings on your side?
Let's start with Real Madrid. I think first and foremost, David Alaba on a free transfer is unbelievable business. That's one of the best defenders in the world, full stop. Won everything with Bayern Munich. Real Madrid just have this class about them, like a way of dealing with things. You kind of know which players are Madrid players and which players aren't, and you see how those guys fit in. Carlo Ancelotti, one of my favorite managers of all time. He won the Champions League with them when he was with them last time, but obviously will be massive for him to win the league this time. And everything looks like it's going well. I know people this summer that were saying, is La Liga as much of a draw anymore and blah, blah, blah. But I think we can see in the last 3 months that yes, it is. And yes, playing for Real Madrid is still one of the highest accolades that you can get in club football. Kylian specifically, I don't want to speak about what might happen with him either way, other than the fact that all I'll say, testament to his personality. I feel like he's breaking records every week at the moment for PSG. He's absolutely playing out of his skin. And that shows you who he is as an individual. When we talk about, Michael said it, the level-headedness, the professionalism is, for me, exemplary. So whatever happens with him specifically, brilliant for him. But I think a lot of players in his position would have tried to force through something by now, maybe stop performing, stop playing for the team. And I think Kylian is just every week scoring, assisting, third player ever to 100 goals in Ligue 1. Excuse my French. I know Michael tried to speak Spanish earlier, so I had to level that up. But, that's all I'll say on Kylian. And then from our perspective, he's been on the cover of FIFA for the last 2 years. For the age, unbelievable, the way that he carries himself. And it's very genuine. I can tell you that. And everything that's what the hunger is crazy. Like everything he has achieved at a young age, World Cup at 19, the guy he just wants more goals, more assists, more trophies. And that hunger is going to come through. Just to think that he's only 22 years old is scary for the rest of the world, because what an unbelievable talent.
I wanted to ask you the final 2 things talking about transfers, because of course we always discuss about transfers here. And I want to start with you, Alex, on Aubameyang's situation at Arsenal. You know so well Premier League football in general, and it seems to be a complicated situation. He had again problems outside the pitch with Arsenal, so it's still a situation to be clarified, and let's see what happens, if not in January, next summer. I'm also told, talking about transfers, that Arsenal are looking for an important striker. I don't know if it would be January or next summer. They like Dusan Vlahovic, but the player is not attractive at the moment. But they are looking for a striker for the future, a new number 9 for Arsenal's future. And so I wanted to ask you your feeling on Aubameyang's situation and on Arsenal's situation in general with strikers. How do you see it, and what do you expect for Arsenal in the future?
I don't follow Arsenal too closely. No, I'm joking. I'm obviously do enjoy that it's not. Well, I think on Aubameyang, I think on any player, all we hear is one side of the story. The player did this. The player's not doing that. He shouldn't be this. There's 2 sides. And obviously something is happening where something's not connecting with him. And for what it seems like, maybe people say he doesn't want to be there or whatever that is. But I think people need to remember this, and have a look at what else is happening. Like, why are they not getting the best from him? Why is he in a disciplinary breach? Because his behavior will be a reaction to something. I don't know what that is, but it's very easy to start pointing fingers at the player, and he's not doing this. And, Arsenal fans, not too long ago, screaming his name from the top of their lungs. Do you know what I mean? And now, you start to see maybe the tide turns against him, people saying he shouldn't be captain. But I think there needs, people need to have a deeper look behind the scenes and think about what's going on there to make that behavior happen. Because there'll be 2 sides to that story. And I think it's too easy to just always get on the player. I don't know what will happen from whether he'll leave in January or the summer or whatever. What I will say is he has actually done a lot for Arsenal over the years and been a good player for them. And that should also be remembered,
Of course. And we will see the final decision by Aubameyang and Arsenal in January. And Michael, I wanted to ask you about your boy, Danjuma, because you are his agent. The deal last summer was an interesting one, moving from Arnaut to Villarreal. Many were saying, okay, well, let's see what happens with this boy in a new league like La Liga. It's going to be completely different. But his impact has been incredible in La Liga and in Champions League. He's performing an incredible level in Champions League football. Emery said about him being at the level of Mbappe and this kind of player. So I wanted to ask you the feelings around this boy, your boy, and how was the deal last summer? If you can tell us something behind the scenes.
The deal was stressful. I'm not going to lie. It was big headache. It was tough in a market where Buendia had moved to Aston Villa for 33 million. Bailey was bought into Aston Villa for 30 million. For me, Danjuma, with respect to Buendia and all the other players that were transferred in, I've been on his career for 5-6 years. I've seen him, and I genuinely believe he's world class. So it was tough in a COVID-ridden market to kind of match the Premier League pulling power in terms of the spend that these clubs are having. And I still feel like, probably out of the two, Villarreal probably got the better deal between the two of them. So I think from a contract or transfer perspective, it was tough. And you know what? Credit to Bournemouth, because the main thing for us in this move was, if he stays another season in the Championship, he's with respect to the Championship and with respect to he's too good for the league. He's too good for the league, too good for the level. And it was a big impact for us as a team and for him personally to not go to the Euros and represent Holland there. So the transfer strategy was always, he has to go now, because if he goes now at 24, turning 25, he's really got the opportunity to announce himself to the world as a credible world-class talent, which is what I believe he is and what he knows he is. And the best thing about it is, we talk about Mbappe and, all these other greats, like Ansu Fati and all the others that people don't know about Danjuma. They're just seeing him now. But I'm telling you, he belongs right up there. Mentality-wise, you will not find a more driven, determined, natural-born winner that does not want to be second place. Is not good enough. If he achieves second place, I'd rather not be involved. I'd rather just, chill with my family, eat my food, and he doesn't want to hear second place. It's first place or nothing. So the drive of the kid is infectious to be around. He's a talent. For me, Fabrizio, he can go either way. He can shoot left foot, right foot. His ball manipulation, second to none. His acceleration, 5 yards, bang, gone this way, gone pop ball. If you want to do the pop ball with me, pop, the Dutch football that Dutch are very good at doing, he has it all. So the only thing is, and which is why Villarreal was such an important transfer for us, it wasn't just the feeling of the club, the president, Fernando, the CEO, and the togetherness, which is what he kind of needed, almost that family to welcome him in and say, come and show us what you've got. But I think Unai as a manager doesn't probably get the respect because of the perception of the Arsenal and the PSGs of the world. He doesn't get the respect of actually how good a coach he is. At number one, understanding the player on a personal level, which he does. And number two, realizing their qualities and how to get the best out of them. So what you've seen is a combination of all of our due diligence in terms of understanding the environment, the culture, the manager, and how they're going to help best give you that platform. And Fab, the best thing about it, mate, is I promise you when I say this, and I speak about this so passionately, you've not even seen the best of him yet. If you sat down and spoke to him right now, are you playing your best football? No. He's not even in sixth gear yet. He's still trying to find his feet, learn the language, learn the culture, learn the league. So you can see why he's taking it to like a duck to water, because it's from there in him, that innate personality to want to win. There's so much more to come. And unfortunately for Villarreal, at the moment, he loves it there. It's, we're not thinking about anything but being a part of that club for the foreseeable future. But at some point, I do expect him to be at the very pinnacle of football and competing with a Kylian Mbappe, which would be a challenge very much so welcomed from our side.
Mm-hmm. And I know you can't comment about this, and I'm not asking you about this, but I'm saying by myself that no, I'm just saying by myself that Liverpool are following the boy, and not only Liverpool. So it's going to be interesting, of course, not for January, but for coming seasons, maybe in the summer. We will see what happens. But many top clubs are following him, and so it's going to be part of our talk very soon. I'm sure, because it's really incredible. But I also know that Villarreal want to enjoy him. So all the best to Danjuma and to Villarreal, because they're doing great. So we are at the end of this episode. You have been listening and watching Debatable on 11 Football. Let us know your thoughts as always. If you want to leave comment on YouTube or review on your podcast provider. And I want to say a big thank you to Michael and to Alex for being part of the show.